Teacher, when will we finish our lesson?
Excuse me?
When will we finish our lesson?
When we will finish our lesson?
Yeah.
7:15 maybe, 7:30, depends. Sorry, my time is 1 hour before. So your time is 7:50 now, right?
Yeah.
So 8:20, 8:25. Why? Do you want to
Okay.
go somewhere?
No, I have to do a sport. That's why I asked.
All right. So now I'm going to open the book and I'm going to share my screen. So let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. Was it test 4? IELTS Cambridge 4, test 4 and 5, right?
Yes, last lesson you gave us IELTS 4 test. IELTS 4, 3, test 3 and 4.
I'm going to start from IELTS 5. Test 1 we did. Let's start from test 2. We haven't done IELTS 5 test 2, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. So while I was checking your work, your listening, I realized that you have very, very simple mistakes, which if you don't have those mistakes, you can score only 2 mistakes from out of 20 questions. So on average, you have 5 mistakes out of 20 questions, section 1 and section 2, but 2 or 3 of them are very, very simple mistakes, very unnecessary mistakes. For example, in the first one of the tests, I remember the answer was minibus, but actually the actual answer was a minibus. So you forgot about the article. So when it happens, of course, before we start listening to the test, we will check the condition, right? So what they asked from us. For example, in this one, as you can see in Cambridge IELTS, can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. 5 test 2, it says no more than 3 words and or a number. So this could be the biggest answer you can get out of a listening question, because it says no more than 3 words. So you maximum, you have 3 words and 1 number, which means that your answer could be 1 number and 3 words, right? And or it can be only a number, or it can be only 3 words, or 1 word or 2 words, right? So the confusing part about this condition is that you must be very careful with the keyword. So for example, in the first question here, it says 2, right? For registration must take 2 of something and 2 forms of ID or driving license and something. So when I see this 2, I will definitely understand that the noun is going to be plural, right? Or if I see and, there's a very, very simple but very very important rule, is that if I see and in the answer gap, so this is called gap, and if there is a plural form, a plural noun before and or after and, my answer in the gap is also going to be plural. So the first part of the and, if it's plural, noun is plural, after and is going to be plural too, even if we don't have the number. If the first part before and is in past simple, if the answer is going to be a verb, it's also going to be in past simple. So these simple tips, okay, these ordinary tips will help you to technically find your answer. Now, if you find that you're going to wait a plural noun, then you don't have to worry about it. So, for example, if your answer is to registration papers, right? You know that you cannot use a article here. You cannot say to a registration papers. First of all, there is to. Second of all, there is the noun is in plural. So what happens here, while you're listening to the speaker, you must look for the plural noun. And you know that the plural noun always end in, if it's a countable noun, it will end in S, right? If it's not a countable noun, then it may change in the root. So this kind of description and examination of your answers, of your keywords are very, very important. That's why when the test starts, we have to be examining our keywords and our gaps in the test. So I really wonder what was the question. I think it was in the test 4. Let me just see. Yeah, it was test 1, IELTS 4, IELTS 5, test 1 here. Okay, here we go. Type of transportation. So types of transportation. Now I consider the types of transportation. I can see no article here, no number here, right? If there is an article A, I'm going to wait for a singular noun. If there a number 2, or if there is any of pronouns like many, a lot of, then I'm also going to expect a plural noun. But I have nothing. So I'm thinking, I said, if they ask me type of transportation, not types of transportation, there is going to be only one type of transportation. And of course, if it's one type of transportation, it's either a car or a train or a plane or some other types of transportation. And I can understand that all the types of transportation can be singular. And then it says minibus. So if you write minibus without an article, that's going to be a mistake. And I can see no more than 2 words. If it says no more than 1 word, then minibus is correct. Even if the speaker says a minibus, if it's no more than 1 word, then minibus is correct. But if it's no more than 2 words, then you must have to write a article. Is that clear?
Yeah, I understood.
Okay, now going back to test 2. Now, in test 2, we have multiple questions. Multiple questions are considered the hardest questions in listening, because to catch them, to follow them can be a little tricky. But we will learn it how to successfully follow the speaker and find out about our answer. So let's try to listen to this. Let's try to solve this. Let's try to find answer to these questions together. We are going to do the table. We are going to do the 4th section together today. And if I can see some maps, which I really want to see some maps. Maps also are a common questions in the IELTS listening. We'll do some maps, huh? So let's do the test 1, Cambridge 1, test 1 together, right? Is your headache okay?
Yes, not bad.
Okay, can you continue the lesson?
I think yes.
Okay, one.
IELTS Pub 5 Cambridge.
So we said that before every other a listening question, there is an instructor talking about the structure of the IELTS, not the structure, like what is the length of the exam and what are you going to hear about. We're not going to listen to the instructor. We are going to examine the keywords, right? So I'm just going to mute it and I'll just let it go and I go back to my sentence and I'll try to examine my words with you. So let's do it. No more than 3 words and or a number. My answer could be 1 word, 2 word, 3 words, 1 number, or 1 number and 3 words. 1 number and 1 word, 1 number or 2 word. So now looking at here, we have a library information. Now this is the title of the section 1. Okay, obviously there is a registration and somebody asks about the documents. So for registration must take 2. I can see 2. Noun is going to be in plural. And they're not alone. 1, 2, 3, 4 things you must take for registration. First one is after 2. I need to listen to the first one. And the last one after driving license. I don't know if it's plural or singular, so I will just listen. Cost to join per year. It is the number because I can see euro. So I'll just wait for the number. And it says without current student card. This is given to me here because they will also talk about with current student card. But what I need without current student card. We have to be careful here. Number of items allowed. So I'm going to write the number. And it says members of public. If you're not a member of public, the number can be different. So the speaker may say some other number, right? So the answer is going to be members of the public. Loan times 4 weeks, we don't need it. 5. Fines start at, again, a number is going to come. That's a fine. Computers can be booked up to hours. Before hours, there's definitely a number up to 7 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. It's going to be a number because I can see hours here. Library holds most national papers, all and. So as I said before, if there is an and in the gap, if the other one is in plural, most likely before and, the noun is going to be plural. So I'm going to be waiting for a noun here. An 8th one, need something to use photocopier. So need something, that's going to be a noun. And here, creative writing class, tutor is John. It's going to be last name, held on evenings. It's going to be a day, held on Tuesday evenings. I don't know, Monday evenings. So I examine all my question. I'm ready to listen. Going back here.
Near here.
Years 4.
Oh, is it? Wait a second. It's test 2, right? Yeah. It's test 2.
Onward. You will hear a number of different recordings.
Can you hear the listening, Ahmed?
Yeah, I can hear.
And you'll have to answer questions on
But
what
I
you
can see
hear.
the questions.
Excuse me?
I can see questions.
What about now?
Yep.
And you'll have a chance to check your work. You'll be given 10. Now turn to section 1. Phoning a library to look. See that there is an examination relating to this.
Good morning, North College Library. How can I help you?
I was wondering if it was possible to join the library.
Are you a student at North College?
No, I'm not, but
So he says, I'm not a student, which means he's not a member, obviously. So all the numbers and all that is going to be apply on him being without a member.
someone told me it was possible to join even if I wasn't.
That's right, it is. Are you over 18? That's our minimum joining age.
By the way, at the beginning of almost all the listening tests, example, also they talk about the example. So they talk about minimum joining age and 18 years. So the flow of the speech, of the conversation, goes according to the title and then the example and then your questions.
age.
Yes, I am.
The minimum joining age in the questions. Listen carefully.
It was possible to join the library?
Are you a student at North College?
No, I'm not, but someone told me it was possible to join even if I wasn't.
That's right, it is. Are you over 18? That's our minimum joining age.
Yes, I am.
That's no problem then.
Could you tell me what I have to do to join?
Well, you'll need to come into the library and fill out some forms. You'll also need to bring 2 passport photos with you.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, 2 passport photos.
Okay, so for registration, they don't have to talk about everything in the listening. According to the writing, they will say that, what do I have to do? Said you have to come here to fill out the registration paper and you need 2 passport copies or whatever he said, photos, right?
We also need
Yes.
2 documents for ID, so a driving license would be fine.
A driving
I've
license.
got that. And what else? A credit card?
No, it needs to have your address on it.
Shall I bring a bank statement? Would that do?
That'll be fine.
What was the answer?
Bank statement.
Bank statement. So it says, shall I bring my credit card? And she says, no, there must be an address on it. Then he suggested bank statement.
Good. Does it cost anything to join?
Well, it's free for students here, but
So it's free for students there, but obviously he's
Mhm.
not a student. We're looking
Yeah.
for somebody without current student card.
otherwise it's £125 per year, or £25 if you've got a current student card from another college.
Okay, what is the answer?
170, and I didn't catch.
Going back. So listen carefully.
No, it needs to have your address on it.
Shall I bring a bank statement? Would that do?
That'll be fine.
Good. Does it cost anything to join?
Well, it's free for students here, but otherwise it's £125 per year, or 20.
So I heard the number 125 pounds,
25, yes.
pounds if you're not a student. I'm gonna write it 125, but I'll also wait for the later statement.
£5 if you've got a current student card from another college.
And it says it is 25 pounds if you have a student card from another college. So none of them is this guy. So the answer is going to be 125 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
in the answer, in the gap, some 2-3 options can be told, like 2-3 numbers or options or other stuff can be told. So you have to be careful of what you are waiting for.
I was at Westerly College until last year, but now I've got a job at Jefferson Steel Factory. It's more expensive than I thought. But my local library is free.
But you'll find they don't have the range of reference books or facilities which we buy for our students. That's why you have to pay to be an external member.
Let's see. How many books can I borrow?
We allow 12 items borrowed at any one time if you're a student.
How many items if you're a member?
12 items.
That includes CDs, DVDs, and videos. However, it's only 8 items for members of the public.
The answer?
8.
Yes.
Fine. And how long can I have them for?
Well, you can have both fiction and reference books for 4 weeks, which isn't bad, really.
And what happens if I return them late?
Like all libraries, there's a fine system in place. The minimum fine is £1.50, but it can be much higher.
How much?
£1.50.
So it says the minimum found. And the
Yes, and
answer
it
says
means that starts.
start at. So you got to be careful.
Some items up to £5 per week.
We don't need this 500 because we need the minimum.
We'll give you a booklet with all the details when you join. You can always renew items if they're not required by anyone else by telephoning or logging onto our website.
Before you hear the rest of the telephone, now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
about the computers? Can I use them free of charge?
For college students, it's free, but for external members like yourself, the first hour is free, and then we make a nominal charge of £1 per hour thereafter.
Do I have to book in advance for them?
Oh, yes, it's advisable. Most people tend to book 24 hours in advance, although sometimes you can get one with only 6 hours' notice. However, the earliest you can book a computer is 48 hours before you need it.
What is the answer here, Muhammad?
48 hours.
Okay, you said most of the people books 24 hours, and you can book at least 5 hours before. And it said, however, the general rule is 48
And you
hours.
can only book 1 hour at a time. If no one else has booked the computer out, then you may be able to have another hour if you want. But we have a wide range of databases, so the computers are in great demand.
I'm thinking of doing some writing, and I might need to access national newspapers. Do you have them on these databases?
We do indeed. We've got all the big nationals, the Guardian and the Observer, the Independent, and the Times and Sunday Times. We've also got all the local papers and
All the what?
Local papers.
So it says she is counting the names of the newspapers, Guardian, BBC,
Yeah.
CNN, this and that. So you don't, it's a little confusing actually. The times, especially some students write times. So times cannot be a noun after all. So you need a noun. So local papers are the answer.
and a wide selection of magazines.
Excellent. I assume you have photocopying facilities.
Of course, 5p a sheet for both A4 and A3 black and white copies, and 40p a sheet for colour. You can get a card from the counter here. It doesn't take coins.
Okay. Oh, by the way, another thing I was wondering about was if you ran any writing classes through.
Did you get the answer?
Need card, yes, card to use photocopier.
Okay. So did you hear the article there before card?
I didn't, I think I didn't.
Let's listen to it again.
We've got all the big
Okay.
nationals. We've also got all the local papers.
Photocopying facilities.
Of course, 5p a sheet for both A4 and A3 black and white copies, and 40p a sheet for colour. You can get a card from the counter.
Yeah, you can get the card.
A card. Get a card. See,
Copies, and 40p a sheet for colour. You can get a card from.
a card. So again, be careful with that. And the condition says no more than 3 words, I think, or 2 words. So we are going to write that article in front of
From
card.
the counter here. It doesn't take coins.
Okay. Oh, by the way, another thing I was wondering about was if you ran any writing classes through the library.
We do, but you'll have to speak to John Grantingham about that. He's our resident author. He runs the creative writing classes.
John Grant. Could you spell that for me, please?
Certainly. G-R.
I want you to write it down.
Okay.
Could you spell that for me, please?
Certainly. G-R-A-N-T-I-N-G-H-A-M.
And so
Grantenhem.
Are the classes here at the library?
Yes, he's here on Thursday evenings. Oh, no.
So he said, did you see what she did? He is here on Thursday evenings. Oh, no.
Sorry, Friday. He's just changed it.
So
Yeah, it's changed.
what changed to what?
Oh, I didn't catch.
Careful.
Could you spell that for me?
I-N-G-H-A-M.
Are the classes here at the library?
Yes, he's here on Thursday evenings. Oh, no, sorry, Friday. He's just changed it.
Mm-hmm.
He has changed it, but that didn't say when.
M.
Are the classes here at the library?
Yes, he's here on Thursday evenings. Oh, no, sorry, Friday. He's just changed it.
What?
Changed it. I can't catch anything. Only
says,
say changed it.
sorry, Friday. He just
I
changed it.
can't
Yeah.
catch.
See?
Are the classes here at the library?
Yes, he's here on Thursday evenings. Oh, no, sorry, Friday. He's
Friday.
Oh, Friday,
just
yeah.
changed it.
He just changed it.
You can contact him by emailing the library.
Okay.
Okay. We
Now-
completed this. So with examining the gaps, we knew that what we were waiting for, and we wrote down all the answers. So actually the clearance of this test is not that great. So it's not a VFX quality sound. So you will get a clearer sound in the exam. So you may find it a little hard for some questions to catch, but be careful, you will get them. So now I want to talk about the most difficult question of writing, listening test. These are called multiple choice questions. So a multiple choice questions, there are always two people being in a conversation, and one of the person asks the question, the other answers, or vice versa. So multiple questions are the questions that it has three ABC, three options, and that why it's difficult, because they speak about those three options. If you're not very good at listening, then it might be hard for you to catch what is the real answer, because they speak about all three of them. So now what you have to do, I'll be back in a minute, okay? Muhammad,
Okay.
hold on. Okay, Muhammad, can you hear me?
Yes.
So multiple questions are called multiple because there are three options that you can choose. So, and before we start listening, that of course, so at the beginning, there are some time that are given to us to check our questions in the test. Now, before we use the time to examine, to analyze the first section of the listening. But now what we're going to do, we are going to turn over the paper and see if there is any multiple question or any section that has multiple questions. So at the beginning, when the time is given to us, we are going to work on multiple questions. So it can be in the second section. Mostly they're in the second and the third section. There's no almost never I've seen multiple questions in the first section or on the last section. They're always in the second or the third section. So if you find them, try to analyze them. Don't analyze the first section because it's easy. So since these are the hardest one, when I say hardest, so it doesn't mean that it's not possible. It means that this is just harder than the other sections. So let's see how can we find the keywords here and how can we examine these questions. So first we are going to, so the key here to work on these questions without any problem is that you must understand beforehand that what is the conversation about. And that you must understand the questions very well. So the first thing to do is to read the title, Bicycles for the World. Now, I know that conversation is going to be based on the bicycles, right? And then I go down to the question. So there's no break among the questions. So if 11 is finished, it will automatically goes to 12. But so since there are two people, and since there are two people, obviously one of them will speak about one thing or they have a name, or the other person will speak about some other people or other things and they have their own name. Mostly there is a girl and a boy, but it's possible there are two boys also, but most of the time there is a girl and a boy. So half of the conversation goes to the boy and the half of the conversation goes to the girl, but mostly there is a person, let's say a girl, asking questions to the boy to get some answers, and the boy starts talking about it. So now let's try to examine this multiple choices. It says, in 1993, Dan Pearman went to Ecuador. So I can see Dan. So now I know I have the second keyword here. First one was the bicycles, and the second one was Dan. So the conversation is going to be happening about this person, Dan Pearman, right? So in 1993, Dan Pearman went to Ecuador as a tourist guide or as part of his studies or as a voluntary work. Now, this is actually an easy multiple choice question, the 11, because your answers, your options are not too long and easy to understand. So this guy in 1993, so we have many basic information here. First one is 1993, second one is Dan Pearman, and then the Ecuador. So if I hear three of this, which is going to be mentioned in the speaking, if I hear three of them in one sentence, then I will understand that, okay, this is the sentence that I was waiting for, and one of this is going to be my answer. So 1993, Dan Pearman, and Ecuador are three main words that will help me to wait for my answer. So as a tourist guide, okay, as part of his studies, okay, as a voluntary worker, okay. And I read this one. Dan's neighbor was successful in business because he, now I'm talking about whom?
Dan's neighbor.
Neighbor. Now, I'm not talking about Dan now. I'm talking about Dan's neighbor. He was successful because he employed carpenters. He was the most skilled craftsman in the town. He found it easy to reach customers. So I have keywords here. He employed carpenters. This is my first. He was the most skilled craftsman in the second question. And to reach customers, he reached customers is the third option and is my keyword. Now, Dan's neighbor employed carpenters. Dan's neighbor, the most skilled craftsman. Dan's neighbor reached customers. So three sentences in my mind, and as I'm listening, I will be given one of these options. But the thing is, they for the most cases, the speaker talks about all three options. How they talk about all three options. For example, it says, Dan's neighbor didn't employ carpenters from the area. If you're not very good at listening, you may think that this is my answer, but obviously the speaker says he didn't employ carpenters. He talked about this first option, but he didn't say that he employed, right? So what I'm saying is that the speaker will talk about all three options down here, but only one is going to be the truth. So it's mostly truth and false questions in the listening. So there's going to be three options. All three of them will be said, but which one of them is truth? Or maybe he said, Dan's neighbor hired a person who was the most skilled craftsman in the town, which it's not this answer because it wasn't him. He hired somebody who was the most skilled craftsman in the town. So what they do, they trick you. They talk about this sentence and you think, okay, if I hear that, that's my answer. No, you have to be careful. You have to be listening to it carefully. And in the third option, for example, it will say, Dan's neighbor found it very easy and he reached customers. Yes, this is my answer. So, but one more thing is that the hard about the multiple choices is that, so they may not start talking from the A option, they may mix it. They may talk about the C option first, and A option, and then the B option. And the answer is one of them. So that's why you have to be super careful listening to the questions of multiple choices. Obviously, I mean, in the most difficult exams of listening, there are 5 to 6 multiple choices. What I recommend my students at the beginning to examine only the 3 first questions at the beginning, because if you examine all 6 beforehand, you will forget what were they about. So that's why for the beginning, just examine the first 3 questions. So now Dan says the charity relies on, so it's about charity. So I will wait for charity, not Dan saying or something. Here the keyword is neighbor. Here the keyword is Dan Pierman. And here is about charity. Charity relies on getting enough bicycles to send regularly. So to send regularly, this charity relies on getting enough bicycles. Second option says finding new areas which need the bicycles. So relies on finding new areas. I don't need this. And I don't need this. I just need relies on getting enough bicycles, relies on finding new areas, relies on charging for the bicycles. So I don't need to read this part because I don't care if they send it regularly or not, or I don't care if the areas need the bicycles or not. What I care as the listener to find out what they rely on. If they rely on getting enough bicycles or finding new areas or charging for the bicycles. So I expect from the speaker what I need to listen. So this sentence may be this long, but I don't have to look at all of it and just try to wait for the answer. So I just have to find a keyword and I have to focus on that, which it belongs to the main idea. Now, I examined 3 questions and I'm going to remember it. So Dane Pierman went to Ecuador as a tourist, as a part of his study or something. His neighbor, carpenters, most skilled craftsman, or easy to reach customer, found it easy to reach customers. To reach customers, most skilled craftsman or employed carpenters. And the routine, it says, Dan says the charity relies on getting enough bicycles, finding new areas, charging for the bicycles. I'm going to wait this 3 options. So now, Muhammad, let's listen to that part and let's try to find the right answer. Okay, I will stop when they say the options, I will stop there. I said what they said. You will tell me what they said and if it's the answer or not.
Two. Now listen carefully.
My name's Dan Pearman, and I'd like to talk about the work of Pedal Power, a small charity based mainly in the UK. I'll be giving our contact details at the end, if anyone would like to find out more about how to support us. But first, how the charity began. I got the idea of exporting bicycles to developing countries while I was in Ecuador. I went there in 1993, just after graduating from university. After 3 years of studying, I wanted adventure. I loved traveling, so I decided to join a voluntary organization and was sent to Ecuador to carry out land surveys.
Did you catch the answer?
As part of his studies.
No. Why do you think this is the answer?
He said that while he was in Ecuador, he start to be a voluntary worker.
He didn't start. He said, voluntary what?
Voluntary worker.
No, why it's not C but B?
But it's C.
You said B, right?
Yes.
Why not C? And you're telling me the
Oh.
answer. You said he went to Ecuador as a voluntary worker. He started voluntary worker in Ecuador, right?
Yeah, but he says that he said that while he was in Ecuador, but not in 1993.
Okay, now let's listen to it again.
Bicycles to how the charity began. I got the idea of exporting bicycles to developing countries while I was in Ecuador. I went there in 1993, just after graduating from university. After 3 years
Graduating
of
from
studying,
university.
Yes.
Mm.
And it says after 3 years, after 3 years of university, okay, I found a voluntary place.
I wanted adventure. I loved traveling, so I decided to join a voluntary organization and was sent to Ecuador to carry out land surveys. The project came to an end after 5 years, and when I returned to the UK in 1998, I started planning Pedal Power. Where I lived in Ecuador was a very rural area. My neighbor had the only bike.
Did you catch the keyword?
No, exactly no.
Did you hear it said neighbor?
Yes,
My
no, the dance number. Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah,
I was
so
looking at.
that's the keyword. So if you hear your
Yeah.
keyword, my neighbor, then just give your all attention to the question because he will speak about it soon.
Yeah, I heard it. Okay.
Whereas everyone else area, Pedal Power. Where I lived in Ecuador was a very rural area. My neighbor had the only bicycle in the village, whereas everyone else walked everywhere. My neighbor's business was unusually successful, and for years I couldn't understand why. Then I realized having a bike meant he could get where he wanted to go without much trouble.
Did you hear what he said? What?
A.
Why A?
He said that nasıl bir şey görüşmeyle bağlı nasıl bir şey. Neyse C diye.
Yes, it's C. Be careful.
Successful, and for years I couldn't understand why. Then I realized having a bike meant he could get where he wanted to go without much trouble.
Having a bike, okay, meant going anywhere without any trouble, having any trouble. So which means that it can be found and easy to reach customers. So let's see.
Other local carpenters could only accept jobs in a 3-kilometer radius. So no matter how skilled they were, they could never
See, other carpenters, no matter how skilled they were far away from the customers. So what is the answer here?
Charity relies on yeah.
Sorry?
It's
No.
about
Here.
certain.
We're still in this question.
Mm.
So as I told you before, the speaker is going to talk about all these three options. It doesn't matter, he talks about this first or this first or this first. There's going to be all of them. Even if you find the answer, you have to keep listening to the rest of the options. So let's listen again.
Years I couldn't understand why.
It says, for years, I couldn't understand why his business was successful, right?
Then I realized
Then I realized. Now there is the answer.
having a bike meant he could get where he wanted to go without much trouble.
Having a bike meant going anywhere he wanted without any trouble or without having much trouble. Okay, which means that found it easy to reach customers because he had a bike.
Other local carpenters
So other local carpenters, right? I'm not talking about, he's not talking about his neighbor anymore. He's talking about other local carpenters. My keyword was neighbor, and I got my answer. Okay, now I don't have to listen to it anymore. I'll go down about the charity, right? So I'm going to wait the word charity.
could only accept jobs in a 3-kilometer radius. So no matter how skilled they were, they could never do as many jobs as my neighbor. At Pedal Power, we collect second-hand bikes in the UK and send them to some of the poorest regions in the world. When we distribute bikes overseas, we don't give them away for free. We'd like to, but long-term, that doesn't really help the local economy. The demand for bikes is enormous, which makes them very expensive locally. So we sell them for 5% of the normal price. But in order to continue operating, we need to have a constant supply of bikes, which we send out every 6 months. One example of a town that's received bicycles from Pedal Power is Rivas.
Did you get the answer?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. A.
Yeah, it's a, let's listen to it again.
When we distribute bikes overseas, we don't give them away for free. We'd like to, but long-term, that doesn't really help the local economy. The demand for bikes is enormous, which makes them very expensive locally. So we sell them for 5% of the normal price.
So why it's not C? Because he doesn't talk about sending it abroad. He says that we charge some price for the bicycles, but it doesn't say that it sends abroad, right? That's why C is not truth. But it says there's a huge demand for bicycles and we highly rely on that.
But in order to continue operating, we need to have a constant supply of bikes, which
In order to continue operating, we need a constant supply of bikes, which the answer is A, just like you said. Muhammad.
Yeah.
Now going down quickly, now I'm analyzing because I didn't analyze this 14 and 15. Quickly, we're analyzing it together. What does Dan say about the town of Rivas? What's my keyword?
About town of Rivas.
Yes, I'll be
we
waiting for the
send
word
out every
Rivas.
6 months. One example of a town that's received bicycles from Pedal Power is Rivas.
Okay, now watching.
It was the first place I sent a full container of bicycles to. Most people there now own a bicycle. The local economy has developed so much, you wouldn't recognize it as the same place.
Did you get the answer?
Yes, its economy has been totally transformed.
Listen again.
Bikes which we send out every 6. In order to continue operating, we need to have a constant supply of bikes which we send out every 6 months. One example of a town that's received bicycles from Pedal Power is Rivas. It was the first place I sent a full container of bicycles to. Most people there now own a bicycle. The local economy has developed so much, you wouldn't recognize it as the same place.
That's right. It's C. But you know why it's not A? Because he doesn't say it has received the greatest number of bikes. He just said that I sent the first time I sent there the container full of bikes. So
Yeah.
the answer is
In fact,
C.
there are more bikes than on the streets of Amsterdam.
There are more bikes than Amsterdam. There are not as many bikes as Amsterdam. So B is not
If
the
you've
option.
ever been there.
Tell me what's the keyword in 15?
About in August 2000.
About what?
In August 2000, yeah?
No.
What problem does the charity face in the August 2000?
What's the keyword?
Problem.
problem.
But pedal power still needs your help. You may have read about some of our recent problems in the British media. In August 2000, we simply ran out of money. We had containers of bikes ready to send, but no money to pay the bills.
So,
No pay to bill money.
so
Of course, B.
yeah, it had to delay sending the bikes.
It was a terrible
Yeah.
situation. We managed to ensure the bikes went out on time, but the other problems carried on for several months.
Do you still think the B is the answer?
A, yes,
Why?
because they say that it's çok vaxta bardı. Böyle bir şey gelmeye ora.
Containers
Taşınması.
of bikes ready to send, but no money to pay the bills. It was a terrible situation. We managed to ensure the bikes went out on time.
On
Is it-
time.
We managed to ship the bikes on time. There was no delay, but they didn't have money, so it couldn't meet its overheads. Overheads means like, you know, the expenses, the top level of expense, like my income and my expenses. Okay, so there's an overhead if the expenses are ahead of my income, or the income ahead of my expenses.
But the other problems carried on for several months.
Okay, as you can see, if you find the keywords before the speaker starts or while the speaker is speaking about the questions, it's easy to catch the answers. But finding the keywords and the questions is a good, but also following that keyword in the answer is also a need. So after finding the keyword, you must listen to the speaker carefully while scanning the options. You must scan the options while the speaker listens. If you cannot find the keywords in the options beforehand, you must scan the options. So after this, we have, okay, this is just 15. So now here I have a table, and here also I have a multiple choice option here. So in this kind of sentence we have already done. You just have to answer the question again. You have to find the keyword, like how much money did the charity receive when it won an award. So you're gonna write the amount of money, right? What is the charity currently hoping to buy? There is an item that they're hoping to buy. You're going to write the item name, but be careful with the condition. It says no more than one word or a number. It's either a number or a word. Okay. So here in 1820, it says, so this type of multiple choices, they will not stop here, by the way. They will automatically go and talk about this. It says, which three things can be general public, can the general public do to help the charity pedal power? It can be a little hard question. So you're going to write 1, 2, 3, and you're going to write down the answer. It doesn't matter, you write B here, A in the 3, so you can mix them. But what's important here, 3 of these options are the correct answers. So you must, when you come here, you'll be given a break. So you must analyze this phrases, these options, to find out about the keywords and wait for them. Okay, and the table, we have done the table before. Table follow like this. As you can see, table follows the flow of the table, depends on the number of, depends on the flow of questions. So 25, 22, Christina and Ibrahim, 23, 24, and 25, 26. So you just follow this and make sure in the table, there are a lot of keywords because there are a lot of words. For example, using the camera, going to a British something. There is a name, a noun, and it's countable noun. So in the table, there are a lot of keywords. Decided when to, there is a verb, infinitive here, each stage at the beginning, when to start each stage at the beginning, or when to do something else. And finally, Section 4 is all about a conversation. It's not a conversation, it's all about a speech. It's a class, it's a university lesson, and there's a professor, and a professor talks about a particular topic. It can be geography, it can be history, it can be biology, it can be anything else. So again, all you have to do to listen from the beginning after reading the title till the end. I will talk about these 2 sections more in the next class, but I want you to complete the first full, test of listening. So write this and this at the same time. Do not stop and analyze it when you're given a break 10-15 seconds in between the sections. Try to go down here and read the questions very fast. Find the keywords and circle them. Since you're going to do it on the paper, circle the keywords, work on the paper. You can write on the paper. Work on the paper so while you're listening, you will be familiar with the questions. I'll tell you more about the section 4 next class, but try to write it by yourself. Then in the next class, I'll try to see how many correct answers you will have out of 40 questions. Okay, Muhammad.
Okay.
Do you have any question?
No, I don't have any.
All right, thanks for joining.
Thanks, you too.
I will try to join tomorrow also, because as I said, we may have an extra class tomorrow. I will text you tonight. So
I think I can't join tomorrow because we have maslahat saatine miydi? Advice clock from the
Yeah.
university, and that's why I can't. I think I can't.
Full day you're not empty, huh?
Not full day. In the morning, I have to go somewhere, and I don't. They didn't tell anything about hour, and that's why I don't know when it will be joined.
Okay. All right, no problem. But next week, I'm also planning to join every day because we have missed classes and we have to fill
Every
those
day.
classes for listening and speaking. I'm thinking we should join every day next week. And that's going to be very productive. And that's going to be nice. So next week, try to join every day. No excuses, no university advisory things. Okay. We are going to join and we're going to finish listening and speaking. All right.
Okay.
All right, then, buddy. If you have any question, please text me, ask me.
Okay.
I will see you on Monday.
When will you send new tasks?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Have
Take
a
care.
great weekend.
You
Enjoy
too.
your time. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thanks.